The idea that Klay Thompson fumbled Megan Thee Stallion is not just wrong, it's completely backwards. And I'm going to break down exactly why that argument does not hold up under any serious scrutiny. Because this isn't about defending Klay or attacking Megan. This is about applying the same standards of evaluation to both people and seeing what actually happened when you do. First things first, define fumble. A fumble means you had something of high value and through your own mistakes you lost it. So before anyone says Klay fumbled, answer this clearly. What exactly did he lose that outweighs what he already is? Because if you can't answer that question with specifics, then you are not making an argument, you are repeating a narrative. And there's a difference. This entire conversation assumes that being with Megan Thee Stallion is objectively more valuable than not being with her. But that assumption requires proof, not feelings, not popularity, but proof. So let's look at the actual facts on both sides and see if that assumption holds up. Let's deal in facts. Klay Thompson is a four-time NBA champion, one of the greatest shooters in basketball history, part of one of the most dominant dynasties in sports, financially elite, and worth over $100 million. Publicly disciplined and low drama and respected across the league and beyond. This is not speculation, this is documented reality. He didn't stumble into success. He didn't get lucky. He earned it through discipline, consistency, and excellence over more than a decade. He's actually been in the league for like 14 years. So explain to me, how does a man with that profile become the one who fumbled? Because for that argument to work, you'd have to believe that being in a relationship with Megan Thee Stallion is more valuable than everything he already has and represents. And that's the tough sell when you actually think through it. Now let's talk about Megan Thee Stallion objectively. She's successful, that's not up for debate. She's talented, she's worked hard, she's built a career and a brand. But her public brand is also very clear. Independence over attachment, flexibility in relationships, a narrative centered around moving on when a partner no longer serves a purpose. Songs and public statements that reinforce non-commitment as empowerment. Songs like WAP didn't just go viral, they defined that identity. And that's fine, she's entitled to build whatever brand she wants. But here's the contradiction. You cannot build a brand on not commitment and then turn around and demand to be treated as if you represent traditional commitment value. That's inconsistent. If your public image is built around the idea that relationships are temporary, fluid, and dispensable, then you don't get to act shocked when someone evaluates you through that same lens. You can't have it both ways. Either commitment matters or it doesn't. Either stability has value or it doesn't. But you don't get to switch positions mid-conversation just because the outcome didn't go your way. This is where the argument completely collapses. Social media is trying to do something very convenient. Social media is trying to ignore past narratives, ignore public behaviors, and ignore brand identity. And suddenly, Megan is the one who was lost. No, that's not how evaluation works. You don't get to rewrite your resume in the middle of the conversation and expect people to ignore everything that came before. If you spend years building a brand around one set of values, you don't suddenly get to claim the opposite values when it's strategically convenient. That's not authenticity, that's manipulation, and people see through it. When someone evaluates a potential relationship, they look at past behavior, public statements, brand identity, and consistency. All of those things matter, and all of those things pointed in one direction with Megan. So for Klay to recognize that and act accordingly That's not a fumble, that's awareness. Let's call it what it is: bias. This isn't analysis, this is narrative protection. Because if the roles were reversed, if a man built a brand around multiple partners, non-commitment, and constant turnover, nobody will be calling the woman who left him the one who fumbled. Nobody. And a typical example is someone like Future. In fact, people will be praising her for recognizing the red flags and walking away. They'd call it self-respect, standards, knowing her worth, and so forth. But when a man does the exact same thing, suddenly it's a fumble. So let's stop pretending this is objective. The standard is being applied inconsistently based on who we are talking about. And that's not analysis. That's bias dressed up as commentary. Here's the reality. Klay Thompson represents structure, discipline, and long-term stability. Thee Stallion represents freedom, fluidity, and a highly expressive, sexually liberated lifestyle. Those two things don't naturally align. One prioritizes consistency, the other prioritizes change. One values predictability, the other values spontaneity. One is built for the long term, the other is built for the moment. So what you're seeing is not a fumble. It's a mismatch reaching its natural conclusion. And the honest truth, that's okay. Not every relationship is meant to work. Not every pairing makes sense. But calling it a fumble implies that one person made a mistake. And the facts don't support that. What the facts supports is this. Two people with fundamentally different values and priorities recognized that early on and moved on. That's maturity, not failure. So let's go back to the original question. What did Klay Thompson actually fumble? Did he lose financial stability? No, he already has that. Did he lose public respect? No. If anything, his reputation remained intact. Did he lose peace of mind? That's doubtful, considering the drama that often follows high-profile relationships in that world. Did he lose long-term partnership potential? That's hard to argue when the relationship wasn't built for that in the first place. So what exactly did he lose? The only argument left is he lost the chance to be with Thee Stallion. But that's circular reasoning. It assumes being with her is inherently valuable without proving why. And when you can't answer that question with anything beyond because she's famous or because she's successful, then you're not evaluating value. You are evaluating clout. And clout is not the same as compatibility. It's not the same as peace. It's not the same as long-term fulfillment. So no, Klay didn't fumble. He made a decision based on what he values, and there's nothing wrong with that. Calling this a fumble is not analysis. It's emotion, it's bias, and it's a refusal to evaluate both sides equally. Because when you actually break it down, fact by fact, there is no logical framework where Klay Thompson is the one who lost here. None. You can disagree with his decision, that's fine. But disagreement is not the same as proving he was wrong. And until someone can clearly articulate what he lost that outweighs what he kept, this narrative falls apart under its own weight. So let's stop treating celebrity relationships like fantasy sports. These are real people making real decisions based on real priorities. And just because the outcome isn't what you wanted doesn't mean someone fumbled. Sometimes it just means they chose differently than you would have. And that's called autonomy. Now I want to hear from you. What exactly did Klay Thompson fumble? Be specific. No vague answers. No, he lost the bad one without explaining what that actually means. Drop it in the comments. And if you think I'm wrong, I want to hear that too, but with evidence and not just emotions. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Subscribe to Viewspot. Thank you.